Hi, welcome to the rare occurrence of hearing me talk on camera. If you don't know me, my name is Alice G. Brooks. I'm a queer writer and I just released my queer gothic tragedy, The Ink Eater. That one. If you've heard of this book, I absolutely love you. And if you haven't, I am so glad that you're here. I'm an indie author, which means that I take care of pretty much every single side of this author job, which for me personally also includes making a trailer for this book because I wanted to, because nobody can stop me. So I did, and this is the behind the scenes video. If you're here, that means you're automatically part of an elite club, which is called The People Who Know Me. It doesn't have a lot of members, but I'm glad you're here now. The trailer, if you haven't seen it, you should absolutely check it out. Is only 2 minutes long, but it took me about 3 weeks to produce, plus the idea filling process. And in this video, I'm going to show you how I got from idea to the final result. But first, a word from our sponsor. It's me, I'm the sponsor. This project was completely funded by me, planned by me, and drawn by me, not voice acted by me because I don't have the voices to match my characters. The point is, this is an indie project made with a lot of passion and hard work, so your support really means the world to me. Even just a minute of listening to me yap about my book could change a lot of things for me, and it's directly uplifting queer voices and queer authors like me. You can skip ahead if you want to, but please bear with me for a minute while I tell you about my book. My recently released novel, The Ink Eater, is a queer gothic tragedy that follows Baird Cardall, an immortal man who is bound to a sentient house that feeds off stories. His sole purpose is to fulfill his family's legacy by bringing another son into this world, who will then take over his generational curse. Except Baird is not only uninterested in continuing centuries worth of generational abuse, he is also gay and asexual, and therefore thoroughly unwilling to just find a woman and get it over with. So, when one of his stories comes to life in the form of an annoyingly beautiful shapeshifter named Hemming, Baird is forced to confront his trauma and his fears that he has chosen to live with all of this time just for the sake of his ancestors. All of this is to the displeasure of his sentient manor, which grows more and more hostile by the day, demanding that his first true friend in the world, Hemming, be devoured and put back into his origin. The Ink Eater is a story about generational trauma, about individual freedom, finding purpose in yourself, and facing your fears. You can get The Ink Eater on Amazon as an ebook or as a paperback after release, or through most other retailers as well shortly after release. Thank you for listening, and now let's get on with the video. Welcome back to the video, and thank you for listening to our sponsor of this video. Bear in mind, I am not a video editor. I don't have any experience in animation, in script writing, very minimal experience in photography and filmmaking. However, I do have the power of lesbianism and autism on my side, as well as one briefly previewed YouTube video. So how hard can this really be? Yeah, it was hard. It was really fucking hard. If you are a professional in any of these fields, this is your last warning to look away if you don't want to be annoyed, because I'm about to do everything just about the completely wrong way and still figure it out in the end somehow. The script itself for the trailer took a few days to glue together. Every single line you hear in that video is a line taken directly from my book. Initially, the script was only written for Baird, the protagonist of my novel. I called for voice actors on Threads, and I was looking for soft and masculine voices. But look at this guy and tell me he doesn't have a soft voice. Try me, you can't change my mind. A lot of people replied to me, but none of them really had the voice that I was looking for, so I also posted this casting call, I guess, on Instagram, and then I got a message from Cass. And Cass is pretty damn close to what I imagined Baird to sound like. I got a few other people messaging me as well. One of them was Jude, and his voice didn't match Baird's at all, but he did match what I was thinking for Hemming. And Hemming wasn't even in the script initially, but he just sounded so much like him that I decided to write Hemming into the script just so Jude could have a part in it. So I expanded on the script, I added a few scenes, rewrote everything, re-edited, worked on it for a few days, and then I had a script that I was happy with, and I sent that to them. As I was writing the script, I was also coming up with which scenes I wanted to draw, which I wanted to portray in the trailer, a lot of which are also scenes taken directly from my book. I kind of tried to figure out how I wanted the music to build, which was kind of a feat because I have zero experience in music production or like any music at all. Like I took a few guitar lessons when I was like 10 years old, and that's about it. So I was just sort of describing what I wanted it to sound like, and I was planning to just find some royalty-free music online or figure it out myself somehow. But in the end, I didn't have to, and I will get to that. When I sent the script to Cass and Jude, I was sending them a few instructions along with it as well, and I tried to be very available over text. However, I was just heading into my 2-week Canada vacation, so they were pretty much on their own at this point, but I did try to respond to them as much as I could and give them feedback as much as I could. Lucky for me, Jude has some experience in recording and voice acting, so he helped me out a lot with the program and stuff, everything we had to use. I'm very, very thankful for that because I think it would have taken me a lot longer to figure this whole thing out without my 2 voice actors. They recorded a few lines and sent them to me, and I reviewed them, gave them feedback, and then we agreed to do a little call once I came back from Canada to go over the last few lines together. If this sounds like a fairly quick ordeal to you, you're completely wrong, because not accounting for the amount of distraction you get from putting 3 queer Gen Zers in one room with similar interests and a talent for slipping into different topics like a giraffe on ice.
Like Baird, who up needing a purpose right now?
He's so, like, persistent about it. He's like, can we hang out? Can we go outside? Can we do this? Can we...
Baird being like, yeah, like, everything's kind of, like, don't talk to me. I'm shy and reclusive and I have this huge burden. And then Hemming's like, hey, I want to be your friend. Can we hang out now?
You're doing a lot. Like, you're just shift. And I'm just like, what if we just sit here on the ground?
We are sad and desperately lonely little men in a big scary house. POV, you want to serve? But actually you just have to serve this evil manor that is slowly chipping away at your soul and destroying every ounce of individuality that you ever had, and you never had control over anything in your life.
Making GoFundMe to
get my weird little friend out of the manor so we can be besties forever. Besties in inverted commas.
Bribe. Bribe Baird out.
The mansion like gets a laptop and like deletes the GoFundMe and reports it.
It's like, I've been killing myself to keep you alive, you know?
Yeah, so it's like a...
So I mean, Hemming is just like taking care of him and he's like, you don't get me.
Okay.
It's not a face mark.
Okay, so it's a bite back. I gotcha, okay. I have literally laid in bed doing that line because I'm like, I don't know. I can't figure out that line.
That's okay, that's what I'm here for.
It's actually so helpful to have you on the call as well, like
yes.
kind of coaching us through it and everything.
Yes.
Like, thank you so much.
I'm a joy to be around. I don't know if my coaching is like helpful at all because like I'm doing it for the first time. I have no idea what I'm even saying. You know, kind of like he's kind of like quiet. He's a little bit insecure. He's for the first time in over 200 years finally being close to someone again, and he's just so afraid that Hemming's gonna be like, "Oh, you're actually fucking weird," you know.
And Hemming's basically like, "Yeah, you're fucking weird."
Yeah, remember that scene where they're like walking inside, and Hemming is like, "Do you like me?" And Bert is like, "You fucking weirdo."
At the same time, I was also thinking about what to do for the soundtrack because I was feeling like just getting something from a royalty-free library would feel too impersonal, and this book really means a lot to me, so I wanted it to be personal down to every single step of the way. So I contacted someone for the soundtrack, and they were pretty much immediately on board. So this soundtrack was created by Lou. This is their Instagram account. You should totally check them out. And we made a plan together, which was basically just I would send them the script with my very amateur descriptions of what I wanted the music to sound like. And then I'm drawing the animations first, sending it to them afterwards, and they would just match the music to what I had sent them, basically. And we needed maybe 1 or 2 adjustments, and then we pretty much had the soundtrack figured out, and I am honestly so happy with it. I really, really love how it turned out, down to like, I think my favorite part is where it kind of like slows down when I'm by the fireplace. It's so beautiful. It's such an important scene in my book, and I'm so grateful that this came to life so well. Going in, I had a completely different plan for this trailer. I wanted to completely animate on paper, and I did do that for a few of the scenes, but it just didn't really turn out the way that I wanted. I bought some paper. I purposely ignored the proper way to do hand animations with peg bars and such, because that, for one, sounded really expensive. And second, I'm just a person, I'm just diving in. I'm not making a plan, I'm just improvising everything, and usually it works out for me. I made some art, I took some photos, I experimented with my editing software, and I think I drew the fox that you see in the beginning of the trailer about 5 different times, in different styles, with different animations. And I tried it with like some paper for the snow that he's walking in, and I had a lot of fun doing that. But it was taking just a lot of time, which I did anticipate. But I was kind of working on a deadline that I had set myself, so it's completely my own fault. I'm my own worst enemy. But I wanted to make this the way that I would enjoy it the most. And personally, I just really prefer drawing on paper rather than on my iPad. But in the end, I did have to go to my iPad just because of the time and because it wasn't really working the exact way that I wanted it to, so it was just the easier solution. A few hand animations that I did also draw in ink, just because the book is called The Ink Eater, so it felt obvious. And I've always wanted to do that, and I think it just looks really, really cool. But unfortunately, I did not end up using any of these. So I did turn back to using Procreate Dreams, which is an animation app that I had bought about 8 months ago with the very brief infatuation of learning animation. And then I completely dropped it, never used it again. But I still had bought it and it was on my iPad, so I figured, why not use it now? Obviously, I'm not a professional animator. I think my art is a lot better when I do it on paper than on digital, but I do really still like how it ended up. And I was working on a deadline. I had to publish this before the book came out because it's for my pre-orders. So I was kind of working on the assumption I would publish by the weekend before my book released, which I did. I'm also working a full-time job, and I have other life responsibilities. So this really took hours on my part. I came home every single day after work, and I sat down with my iPad and my Apple Pencil, and I just drew for hours on end. I had several little crash outs because my iPad wasn't working the way I wanted it to, because the app wasn't working the way I wanted it to, and my very lovely voice actors endured all of my crash outs. So thank you guys so much for that. If you're watching this, I really appreciate that you dealt with me during that time. Once the animations were pretty much done, I sent the still silent trailer to my soundtrack producer, and just a few days later, they sent me back their work. And just like 1 or 2 more tweaks later, and we had a finished trailer. So I went back into the software, which, by the way, I used the software Shotcut on my desktop, which is a free program. This is not sponsored at all. I just Googled free editing softwares to use, and this one sprung out. It's a little hard to get into, but I did figure it out. So I feel like if you just put in a little bit of time, it's really not too difficult. This whole project, from book to trailer, from idea to publication, everything is 100% human made. I don't use any generative AI in any of my work because fuck AI, it is ruining the environment, and I could get into that now, but I'm not gonna. My point stands. This trailer was also 100% queer made. Everyone who worked on this trailer was a queer, real person, and it's very important to me that I work on my projects like that, especially the non-AI part, which, again, fuck AI. So if you support me and my books, you're not only funding future projects like this that I can make to present my books to you, but it is also uplifting queer voices and queer stories directly. And I'm very, very thankful for that. So thank you so much for your support, for watching this trailer, for watching this video. And don't forget to get a copy of The Ink Eater to get your heart broken by fictional characters. Bye! I'm being super serious. This is a serious video. I can be silly if I want to be silly.